So, I should put those out there. So what do we got here? We got Andre Harrell and Little Richard.
Yep.
Both died within the last, 24, 48 hours?
Well, and then you have Roy from Siegfried and Roy. He died as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, which ones are these are attributed to COVID-19?
The Roy from Roy
But
Horn.
not Andre and not...
I don't know about the other two. It didn't say.
Oh, there's a Keegan Poo.
There's a guitarist, I think, who died this week from COVID-19. I can't remember the person because I don't listen. I never listen to their music, but I'm sure my parents would have known who he was.
Yeah, it's kind of this is a bad time. But it's not really any...
Oh, Don Shula died on Monday.
Oh yeah, Don Shula.
Yeah, I don't... There are a lot of deaths. I got an email or a message this morning with an article from the New York Times saying that the AP has proof that the Mexican government isn't reporting an accurate number of deaths. There are 3 times as many COVID-19 deaths in Mexico City alone that are not being reported as COVID-19 deaths, so they can keep their numbers down. And I shared
Didn't I say this was going to happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a couple weeks ago.
And a friend of mine who's in Honduras said, did you see the thing from Ecuador? They're having the same problem because people are either dying at home or they don't have enough tests to test them, which is what's probably happening here in Mexico.
And the United States.
Because one of my coworkers, her boyfriend's assistant, he took his mother to the hospital because she was ill and went home and he wasn't feeling well. He died at home. He was in his early 30s. And his mom died just a few hours later, and both of them had COVID-19. But because the guy died at home, that most likely wasn't labeled COVID-19.
Right. And then you got all the people in all of the nursing homes.
Oh God,
that are dying,
and the veterans homes,
they're not. That they're not reporting all of those as COVID-19.
Oh
deaths. They're calling them something else. Because basically, if the person had heart disease or diabetes, they're using heart disease and diabetes. They're not using COVID-19. So,
and then
I'm telling you, the numbers are just going to be. Outside of vigilantes killing a jogger in a neighborhood, isn't every death kind of a COVID-19 death? Or it could be. You don't know. You don't know one way or the other because symptomatic or not symptomatic, tested or not tested, you don't really know.
Well, and something that they really haven't been talking about, but I just did a search on Google because I was trying to find the article I read yesterday. But nuns are dying in groups in these convents. So yesterday I read an article from Livonia, Michigan, that 7 nuns had died in just days. 2 died in one day, 1 died the day before, and then days after, a nun would die a day. And as I looked for that article, I see this one saying 6 nuns died in Wisconsin, and another one that 6 more die in Los Angeles, and it's just that nobody's talking about how the nuns are dying from COVID-19. They're talking about the old folks' homes and people in the hospitals and people in jail, but they're not talking about the other groups of people that are dying in rapid succession.
Why nuns?
Well, because they all live together in in a convent and they are...
How is that different than an apartment building?
Because in an apartment building, you're in a separate contained unit, but in a nunnery, you have a bedroom, and then they go out. Haven't you seen Sister Act?
But are you in a separate space?
Usually they have their own little chamber.
No, I'm not talking about the nuns. I'm talking about people in an apartment building.
Yeah, we're in our own little space.
Yeah, but like just for us to get outside and get a delivery, we've got to interact with the same things that everybody else has to interact with in order to get outside.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like China, we would have been interacting with the same thing hundreds of people interacted with every day.
Yeah, we just the buttons on the elevator.
Right, just to go out into the elevator. So
I guess I don't know. What I'm wondering is it really worth talking about nuns when nuns are basically not that different than people in nursing homes or people in hospitals or people that live in any confined spaces? You know, are they really different? Thus making it newsworthy. Is it newsworthy? Maybe that's why we're not hearing about it.
Because small groups of nuns,
well, just
small groups
just
of old
groups.
women.
No. Just groups of people living together. They're, you know. I mean, basically, what you can say is groups of people are more susceptible to this thing, right?
Yeah.
So then, how is that different than a favela? It's not.
No.
So, is it really noteworthy to point the finger during a newscast at that thing?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I was reading yesterday.
Jesus.
I was reading yesterday. A parent asked in one of my groups, for those of you who didn't homeschool prior to COVID-19, will you send your children back to school in the fall? And it was interesting to read the mix of answers. Several of the moms were like, nope, they're staying home. I'm really enjoying this time with my kids. You know, I get to be a part of their education and blah, blah, blah. But then the majority of the mothers were like, I'm going to be standing on a bus stop waiting for them, and then my kids are in high school. I'm going to be putting them on the bus myself. I don't want them in my house anymore, blah, blah, blah. And all I could think of as I'm reading some of this stuff was, you don't even like your own kids, but you created these people. Not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, you created this. And you're talking about, I'm going to send them back to these teachers. I don't know how the teachers deal with them. We don't, well, folks. Because of what you've done to them.
No, I don't think that's true. I think teachers with your children feel a lot like you do. Mm-hmm. They're really happy when the bell rings.
Oh, there was one day this child was like, Mrs. Farr, I just can't wait to get out of this school. I'm like, I know the feeling, honey. I understand. And it had nothing to do with me. But they just wanted to get out of school. They didn't want to be there anymore. And I understood completely.
Well, I mean, you know, okay. But who wants to be at school?
I keep getting the question, how are you guys holding up? And I just am like, what? We're fine. It's not driving you crazy. I'm like, no. For us, really, nothing's changed except for I don't go to work outside of the house. And that's really not a big deal because I didn't do that for years.
Well, it's not a big deal for you.
Not a big deal. Is it a big deal for you?
That you're not going to work?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've only had this experience for the last couple months.
It's nice, right?
What?
You not going? You not going? We get to be together all day.
See, it's that bullshit. It's drugs, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Drugs.
Nothing but some Advil once in a while.
She do the hard stuff.
Like what? Chocolate?
Sugar.
Oh, I do the hard
Hard
stuff. I had to give up the super hard stuff though. Get rid of that high fructose corn syrup because it makes my body hurt.
You do that too?
Not as much as I used to.
I'm telling you. Drugs.
Whew.
Alright, I have no list.
My only list is I'm house searching, which you watch House Hunters International and you think, oh, that'd be so much fun. That's so cool. It's really not. It's really stressful. It's really difficult when you're doing these searches and everything's in another language. Thank goodness Google translates everything automatically. But I'm looking for a 3 or 4 bedroom place. And so I put in, I want 3 or 4 rooms. And in Poland, for example, 3 or 4 rooms means actual rooms in the building, not bedrooms. So it'll be like living room, dining room, kitchenette is 1 room. And then they'll have the hallway counts as another room. And a bathroom.
Hallways are not rooms.
But they count it as a room.
I think we need to make that shirt. Hallways are rooms too.
Also, I don't understand, maybe because I've never been to Europe, I don't know the size of the spaces, but it's extremely common from the 5 different websites that I'm looking at. Instead of having a regular bed in the bedroom, for the kids' rooms, it's a sofa bed. So I'm looking through all these photos of the bedrooms and there's a sofa in there and there's a sofa in there. Why is there only 1 bed in a 3-bedroom place? It's just very odd.
Well, I mean, if you're maximizing space, it doesn't make sense to have a room that has a bed that all you usually do in it is sleep. So you're only using it for 8 hours a night. And then the other 16 hours of the day, it essentially can't be used for anything but sleeping. So it would make sense to make that space be something else. But we don't think that way because we don't live in our bedrooms.
No. And a lot of these rental places are designed...
Even though our kids do live in their bedrooms.
They really do. A lot of these rental places are designed for single people. So it'll have... There was one apartment that I really liked. Everything was brand new. But it said that it could have like 5 people living in it. But when you went and looked, each room had a single bed. And it was set up as its own living space. They had a very small communal area with like a kitchenette. And I thought, how many single people get together and rent these places? Because I have seen more of that type of thing, or these big houses.
Having roommates.
Yeah, having roommates. But I've seen more these big houses, because I was like, oh, we could get a house, and it'll say sleeps 10 to 55 people, and I'm like, what the hell? And you go and look at the pictures, and it's literally, there are single beds just lined up like it's a big dormitory. And then this week, our friend who lives there and who's going to become a citizen there, was saying how a lot of the refugees will come to Poland and that's all they can afford. Or the company will pay for that and then pay them practically nothing. And so basically they're just working for a bed. And I read an article this week that said it was a job offer, like a job posting. And at the very bottom it said, if you're Ukrainian, your salary is 50% less than what is advertised. And so because they actually put that in the paper, now they're being sued. But apparently that is the norm. People just don't say it out loud or put it in writing.
What's the norm?
To pay Ukrainians.
Why Ukrainian?
Because they're fleeing the Ukraine from war and they're refugees.
But why would a person renting a space care about
it wasn't
all of
a
those
renting,
policies?
it was a job posting.
I know, but why would the job want to pay those people less?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That doesn't...
But it's, from what I was reading, it's very common. And I have spoken with 4 or 5 different real estate agents in the last few days, and every single one of them has asked our nationality, which nobody's ever asked that before. In any country we've lived in, nobody's ever said on a lease agreement, because I just got a lease agreement from one place, and it says it asks for our nationalities.
Huh. Well, I mean, it is part of the EU. I mean, it's a different world of immigration and rules, and you have their internal politics, and you have their connections to the rest of the EU, and whatever those politics happen to be.
Right.
All stuff you get to learn in the next year.
It's an adventure.
You have to do the finger thing now. If you want to follow the Traveling Farrs, you can definitely hit us up at I'm pointing to our Patreon information that's down there somewhere. I think it's patreon.com/thetravelingfars. Patreon. We want money. All right. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever good podcasts are sold. You can find us on the Instagram and the Twitters at Traveling Farrs. The email, travelingfars@gmail.com, and the blog space, thetravelingfars.blueberry.net. No E's in the blueberry. Got all that?
Good.
Yeah, you did you do the thing?
I did it.
Did you feel like a young teenage boy?
I did not feel like a young teenage boy.
That's it. That's all I got, man. Okay. I got nothing else.
Great.
Say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people. Bye, people. Bye, people.
Peace!
I even tried to do his hand, but I'm not good at that.
You can always just...
The happy cat. Sure.